All right, so at this point we have both of our data connections configured. We see the connection managers down below, and you can select on that space, that white space below, to kind of remove the highlight. Another thing that we have done is that we have configured our destination and we have configured our data source. Now, one of the things that we saw in the previous video is that our destination actually had data in it. And this could be a problem. And since we're in an educational environment, I want to make sure that we know that this database is empty. Because one of the things that occurs in this particular environment is if you try to load data on top of matching data, especially where we have primary keys that you need to be unique, you're going to run into a lot of errors. So we need to make sure that we know how to delete the data that's in this database as we work on this integration services project. So you may not need to do this if you've never included data or loaded data into your database, but this is a step that will be necessary in the future when you need to debug your database. So I'm going to start a new query, right? I'm going to right click on my database and hit new query. Now, if you just selected new query, you just want to make sure that you're using your PTI data warehouse, right? Okay. So what I want to do is I want to delete from and what I want to do is I want basically the product type. Okay. And let's go ahead and run that. And I have 0 rows affected. Now let's go ahead and do a select star from DIM product type. And that's just to make sure that everything is empty. You can see that there is no data in there now. All right, so that's an important step that we'll want to make sure of later. Now, one of the things, if you want to delete data from your entire data warehouse, remember how we spoke in the previous video where you had to load data from the outside in. If you delete data, you need to delete it in reverse. So you'll have to delete from the fact table, from the product table, product subtype, and then the product type, because then you'll also get some errors. Okay. So like an example of that is we would do a select star from, I'm sorry, not select star. I would do a delete from fact manufacturing. I would do a delete from DIM product, and then the next table is delete from DIM product subtype, right? Right. That is the sequence that I would have to delete everything in. So let's go ahead and execute that, and I can now just basically do a select star from all those. I don't need that last one. And there's a space in here I need to get rid of. And let's go ahead and execute that. So you can see all those tables are empty. So if you want to delete the rest of the data in, let's say, the machine and the plant and also the batch, you would have to start with machine, then plant. And since you've already done machine, then you could do machine type, or you can do machine type then plant, whatever you want. And then batch has no relationship. And then, of course, yeah, as if you noticed, the fact table was first in my relationships here. Okay, let's go back to our integration services project. So here's how we make this work. So you just simply go up here to the start menu, and what's going to happen is that integration services is going to first build the solution, right? So you can see in the bottom left hand corner of the screen that there is a build option. Okay, and it should be down here, and I noticed that my computer says it's not responding. So let's just see what happens here in just a moment. Okay, so my computer decided to respond, and you can see that now I have some green check boxes on my screen, and this says that it properly connected to the accounting database, extracted the data, and then loaded 4 rows of data into the PTI data warehouse. So then we have a checkbox there. All right. So what we can do at this point, and if you notice on the upper part of the integration services that there is a stop button. And this also tells us that we're currently actually running the package, and we can stop it now. So we're going to go ahead and hit stop. And let's go look back at SQL Server in a Management Studio. Right, let's get rid of these. Let's just comment out these delete statements here. And let's go ahead and just execute the select statements. So you can see that we just loaded the data into that data table, which is the dimension product type. All right. So what we need to do now is come back and do the same thing for the subtype and then the product itself. So the way we do that, we go back to control flow. We click and drag a new data flow task, and we're going to connect the two. And this one, we're going to rename, we're going to rename, and we're going to call it load product subtype. Right? Let's get into the load product subtype. Now, if you use this drop down, you can see that there are different control flow options. So in this case, we're going to again do an OLE database source. We're going to also do an OLE database destination, and we're going to connect the two. This one will be, this will be my PTI accounting database. This one here will be my PTI data warehouse. And I'm going to double click on the accounting database. And if you notice now, I have in my connection manager right here, I have some options that I can drop down. I'm just going to make sure that the accounting database is loaded. What I want to load is my subtypes, right? And I'm going to go ahead and I can preview the data. You can see the data that is in there, double check the columns, we're good. On the PTI data warehouse, we're going to go ahead and make sure we select the data warehouse this time. And then now use the subtype table. Let's look at the mappings this time. Let's see if there's anything changed. No, nothing's changed. So we can see everything is 1-to-1 between the two. All right, so I'll hit OK. All right, so that one is actually that one is good to go. Now I'm going to save my work. I'm going to go back to my control flow table, and I'm going to do another data flow task. And this one will be, did it one more time. This one will be a load product. All right, so I'm going to connect these two and double click on load product, OLE database source, OLE database destination, connect the two. This one is going to be my PTI accounting database. This one is going to be my PTI data warehouse, and double click. Okay, I have my accounting database. This time I'm looking at the products. Check the columns. All right, looks good. All right, PTI data warehouse, going to the products, and now I want to check the mappings. All right, everything is mapping up just fine. Okay, there's no changes. That's perfect. All right, I'll hit OK. All right, so now everything is together, and now I can see that I have all three of my my hierarchy tables here for the products ready to go. Now what I want to do, I'm going to hit Format. I'm going to just go ahead and do an auto layout, and that kind of moves everything into a clean corner. I hit Save. I'm going to come back to SQL Server Management Studio, and I want to make sure all of the data is deleted. So I'm going to run this SQL script one more time, right? And I want to make sure that data down below is gone, and it is now because we've made sure it was by running these SQL statements. All right, let's go back to Integration Services, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run and build this. Oh, it looks like I had one issue with the load product. All right, so I'm going to want to explore what that particular issue is. Right. So to explore it right now, I'm going to hit stop debugging, and I will pick up the debugging process in the next video.